And welcome back to Saturday Football Live. It has been, well, Johnny's just literally, as we started, just before we started, slagged me and Des, since he's the only man that's been right from the very start of the season. But welcome back, gentlemen. How are we today?
Oh, buzzing to be back with you guys on a Saturday afternoon. Sun shining, football's being played. We're going to talk all about it. Can't wait. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it feels like a long time since we've been back in here. I think as we both walked in this morning, it was the first thing we said. We said it was glad to be back. I'm just back on my holidays, maybe not be glad to be back for that. But yeah, as Johnny said, it's a Saturday. The three of us in the studio together. Football's getting played and there'll be plenty for us to talk about, I'm sure.
No, it's going to be an absolute belter, and we're delighted to have everybody who's going to be listening on East End Community Radio and watching us live on YouTube. So remember, if you want to get in touch with us on WhatsApp, it's 07396 717 412. That's 07396 717 412. Or you can get us on Sat Football Live on X and Instagram. I'm going to need to apologise because I'm only in for an hour and a half today. I've got to go to my work, which I'm not pleased about in the slightest because I don't even like going to my work when I'm supposed to be in. But what a season we've already got to the start. I mean, the fact that we were talking about it, Johnny, me and you last weekend when we were on your show, some of the results, the Drumchapel game, after being 2-0 up, 8-2 down, they lose. We're talking about Peterson and Thornleywood 5-4. It's been absolutely mental so far this season, and that's long may it continue.
I know it feels like it's been a great start to the season for excitement, goals, red cards, refereeing decisions, wind. It's been really exciting. It's been great to be part of it and reporting on it right for the very get-go. And long may it continue because it's good giving us guys plenty to talk about, definitely.
Yeah, I think also you can try to keep abreast of what's been going on. The results have been topsy-turvy, so to speak. When you think you know what a game's going to be, you think like a solid prediction, it just falls on its head. A lot of teams seem to be in the rebuilding phase this year. The top teams have obviously, you can almost see a wee bit of disparity between the top teams in each league and the bottom team, and it's almost, I think you're going to have like a two-tier league within each of them. But again, that's not to say things won't change halfway through a season when injuries crop in and players start to move, and I think we won't get anything settled until we sort of get to the sort of middle towards the end of September. That's when squads will get reduced, players will move on to different teams because they're looking for game time. So yeah, start of the season's been good, but as we said, it's just the start and it gives us plenty of content.
Definitely. And before we get started, just like to give a big shout out to our sponsors. We've got VSN as always, who really support the show. We've got a wee banner around in the bottom of the screen, so if you want to get any bespoke team wear for your club, then get in touch with Gary. His number is on the bottom of the screen. Also, a big shout out to Roxburgh Insurance Brokers. If you've got any insurance needs, then get in touch with the guys at Roxburgh. And we have GLA Chauffeurs. So if you're looking for an executive transfer, golf tours, whiskey tours, anything you need, get in touch with the guys. They're literally the best about. So this week, our featured fixtures. Let's see if PG versus the Pundits. If I can actually not get leathered this season.
Are we going to do a league on this year?
We did. I borderline chucked the league last year. We're keeping track of it because I was just getting sick of losing all the time, to be honest with you. And it was quite embarrassing. So I won one, drew maybe 6 or 7, and lost, I don't know, about 10 or something.
I think the one you won was the first week as well.
Well, let's hope that we can go for that today. So we're going to look through our featured fixtures. We have Pollock versus Largs, Irvine Meadow versus Ardrossan in the first division, second division, Thorn versus Bonneton, third division, Perthshire versus Knightswood, fourth division, Irvine Bix versus Eglinton, and then we have 2 South of Scotland Cup games. We have Albion Rovers versus Thornleywood, and we have Bellshill and Arthurlie. So, gentlemen, since I'm a gentleman, I'm going to let you two have the first go of the season, 25-26, Pollock versus Largs. How do we see this playing out? Johnny?
I'll try and keep this brief, but there's a lot. I think there's a lot to talk about in this one.
Definitely.
Pollock, we know what's been going on in Pollock. I've spoke about it endlessly on my podcast, and we've got Josh on tomorrow night, so we'll speak about it again tomorrow, no doubt. Largs have it, for their standards, probably a disappointing start to the season. I said to you last week on the show, I don't know if you get the chance to watch Stuart Davidson interview after the game. He seemed pretty angry with what was going on. So I think he'll have them fired up, ready to go. And I fancy Largs to sneak a victory there. I think it'll either be a draw or a Largs victory there at Pollock this afternoon. Des, I don't know what you think, but if I was to hold a gun to my head, I would say 2-1 Largs.
I watched the show and I watched Arnie's interview. I also watched Max's interview after the Glencairn game, and Maxie didn't seem particularly happy with his team's performance on it. The surface certainly looked fiery. Both teams are, they're 12th and 13th in the league, very close. While I know both managers and know Maxie well, I was thinking that potentially a Pollock home win, but a draw wouldn't surprise me, because I think Arnie will be looking for a reaction from his players for last week. So
I'm happy to go with a draw, Des, if you think, because I would not be surprised to see that play out.
Yeah, I think I'll go with you. You were going Largs, I've been going Pollock.
So we'll go for a draw.
We'll meet in the middle. Yeah.
One each, Des. 2 each. 1 each. 0-0.
1 each.
1 each. Right. 1 each.
I am going to disagree.
As is your right.
As is my right, and I will exercise that right. I'm going to go for Largs. I know Largs have had a poor start. Both teams have had poor starts, but I feel that Largs have got a bit more about them. So I think that we're going to have a Largs win here. I've not seen either of the interviews. I know you said to watch it, but if you're saying Maxie's not happy after last week, which is, again, his right not to be happy, but for me, if you're picking up your first points of the season, you've got to put the message out to the players that, well done, guys, particularly in the fashion, you're scoring a late goal, you've got to be coming out and praising them. I don't players want to be hearing a manager being unhappy when you've got your first win of the season.
It was probably one of the ones that was, I think it was more the conditions of the game and the pitch that he was unhappy. I don't think he was unhappy with his team's performance. I think he was just unhappy in general that it wasn't the best of things. It was scrappy, but he's happy to get the win, and he's happy for the players to get the win.
So what was he saying about the pitch?
It was. I don't think it had been cut properly. It looked really fiery. It looked bouncy. There was a lot of conditions.
Do we not think that's kind of hypocritical, considering that Pollock is the worst part in the world last year?
Well, you can only deal with what you're dealing with on a day, can't you?
That's it. Right, so I'm going to go for Largs in that one. I do think it'll be a tight affair. I think that Largs will nick it by a goal, but that's Pollock guaranteed 3 points now, because I've said that Largs will win. First division game, Irvine, Meda and Ardrossan. I will take this one. I think that both teams have actually had a really solid start to the campaign. I think that both managers will be pretty happy with how it's going. Jamie in particular, 4 wins for 4, 12 goals, 4 conceded. We always say on the show that if you lose a goal a game at this level, you're always in with a good shout, because you're likely to go and score at least 1 or 2. And that's exactly what the Med are doing, and they're holding Garp Cairn off, which is a big one for them, because I think that'll be the two that'll be fighting for the league. Ardrossan, I was really disappointed with Ardrossan last season, particularly considering a couple of seasons ago when I was up against them myself. I thought they were a really good side when they won the second division. This is a pretty solid start. Only conceded 3 goals in 4 games, but I think that the Meda have probably just got a wee bit too much, so I'm going to go for a home win in this one. Des, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think that Jamie's rebuilt a squad this year. Obviously, we know the inner workings down there. They've started well. They've got a wee bit of role of consistency behind them. Okay, they lost to Johnson Borough, which can happen to any team at any level. Ardrossan, yeah, they've started well. They seem to have picked up and improved upon where they left off last season. But it's at Meadow Park. They're on a bit of a roll. Jamie will make sure that they're retaining that top position. That's their goal. I mean, you openly said it in the show. They're like, if you're not in it to win it, then why are you in it? So I can't see past Meda.
I agree, Des. I would go for Meda. The only thing I would say in mitigation is probably the fact that Meda played midweek and Ardrossan didn't, which I think is always an interesting kind of wee caveat to that. But I watched every Meda in pre-season. I've seen the stuff online and stuff like that. I think Meda will be too strong for Ardrossan on this particular day.
In the second division, our featured fixture is the Thorn and Bonneton. Johnny, what do you think about this game?
So I genuinely think this is one that could go either way. I think there'll be a winner because I think both teams will come out and try and play. I think I would probably edge towards Thorn just given how they're going and stuff like that. I think Bonneton we've spoke about it, have signed some really good players and are capable of going to Thorn and getting a win and getting something from the game. But I'll go for a home win. I would go for Thorn, Des. I don't know what you think.
No, I agree. I think Bonneton will have an improved performance this season compared to last year. But I just think Thorn have got momentum. They've kept the sort of big hitters in the team. They're coming through. They've also got aspirations to move on again. They're playing at home. They want to build on that. They're sitting third in the league, which again, coming up, a team that's sitting that high up is confidence for them. Yeah, I'm going for a Thorn win.
I'll agree with you both. The Thorn at home, they've been, and I mean, that's 4 games undefeated, 3 wins, 1 draw. It's just, they seem to continue to keep going, and David Watt's obviously done a very good job, and we spoke about it at length, so I won't flog a dead horse again. But it's just hard to see by them. Johnny, I agree with you in a sense, though, that Bonneton are a team who could easily go and win this 2 or 3-0, but also go and lose it 2 or 3-0. That's the type of team they are. But I will agree with both of you. I'm going to go for the Thorn.
Do you know this is Bonneton's 5th away game in a row to start the season?
How does that happen?
Well, the reason that they're playing the 5 in a row is Maybole were meant to play at Bonneton, but I think the park's getting relayed. So that's maybe, so we swapped the fixture. So that's obviously led to them playing the 4 away games. Kilsyth, Maybole, Cambuslang, Forth and now Thorn.
Well, to be fair,
and then they're supposed to play at home next week against Cali Locos. So.
If they can keep themselves in it with 5 games, that could really stand you in good stead later in the season. I just want a couple of comments coming in on YouTube there for Mark Syme. Great to have you back, guys. You've been missing a Saturday afternoon. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Midtown Sheriff, welcome back. Thank you very much. Midtown Sheriff, who's always good for some results coming in for us. He always keeps us updated. Mark Syme is on his way down to see the mighty Talbot. I wonder if that's somebody's father potentially. So you enjoy your day, guys. Thank you very much. If you get any comments you want to make, don't hesitate to go on to don't hesitate to go onto YouTube and just fire a comment or a question that you want to ask myself or the guys. Right, moving on to the 3rd division, Perthshire and Knightswood. I'm going to go for Knightswood. I think that Perthshire actually had a pretty reasonable start this season.
Did a good result last week.
I imagine the old man will be pretty happy with how they've started. Knightswood, I mean, lost opening day of the season, 3 wins and a bounce. That's been a good recovery. You look at the top of that 3rd division, Glasgow Uni, Port Glasgow and Knightswood. I mean, 2 of the new teams coming up. Glasgow Uni, who really struggled for a spell last year. So it's nice to see a wee bit of something different, and obviously having even Kello sitting in 5th place, who actually 3 or 4 teams that have come up are all right up there in the hunt for trying to get something. But even though we're talking about Perthshire having a decent start to the season, I'm actually looking at the league table. They've lost 3 games. So
they've only won one.
Only won one.
They won last week against Glasgow United.
Good win last week. But it's Knightswood for me.
Yeah, no problem. There's really nothing to discuss in there. I think Knightswood are them and Port. They're on like Thorn. They're on a upward trajectory. They've got aspirations to move up. Yes, they lost their first game, but if you look at it, I mean, they've scored 13 goals, lost 3. Nah, I can't see anything other than a Knightswood victory there.
This might come back to bite me in the backside, but I'd say this is probably the easiest game to predict of the day. Perthshire to win.
Right, that is both going for Knightswood. So it looks like the Premier League game could be the one that causes us a wee bit of difference. In the 4th division, local derby, Irvine Vicks and Eglinton. Des, how do you see this one playing out?
Being a local derby, there'll always be more.
Second and third in the league, sorry, I may add as well.
Yeah. Look, being a local derby, I think Vicks now going to have Ben in there again, a bit more solidity, background team. Eglinton, yes, they've got aspirations, and I know they're trying to always try to look for players from bigger clubs. But I see a Vicks win. I think that they'll be too strong. It's a really narrow park down there. They know how to play on it. They know how to use it well. The players shouldn't need any G'ing up for it. Knowing it's because I know we've got the Minimus coming up, which they're playing for, and the players will be looking to be a place in that as well. Yeah, I think it's a Vicks win.
I think so too. They both played midweek. Irvine Vicks bounced back after a really disappointing 4-2 loss to West Park to go and beat St Peters 3-1 up at Largs, and then Eglinton drew 1 each way. Royal Albert conceded in the last minute. I think Eglinton are overachieving a wee bit for where they are, and the job that Kevin's doing as Kevin Dean is doing is fantastic so far. But I think Irvine Vicks will just be a bit too strong for them. And like Des says, Victoria Park is one of the places where home advantage really does matter, and I think it will matter on this day.
Particularly the change of surface for Eglinton. We're used to that nice Astro, and don't get me wrong, I know that Irvine Vicks Park's a terrible park, but it is a tight, narrow.
No, it's a different park.
It's very different.
It's a difficult park as well. It's a very difficult park.
We've got a comment coming in from Craig. Craig is on his way to watch Arniston Rangers and Lochgelly Albert in the East of Scotland Cup. So enjoy that, Craig. Right, I'm going to go for Irvine Vicks as well. I think that you're right, Johnny, when you say that Eglinton are maybe overshooting a wee touch. But Kevin's doing a good job. And I think if they can continue this form for the next 6 to 8 weeks, roughly, then it gives them a tremendous chance of getting promoted. So if they can pick up maybe 4 points for every 2 or 3 games, then I think they should be all right. We're looking at the South of Scotland Cup now. Albion Rovers against Thorneywood. I spoke to Adam Coakley, the Thorneywood manager, yesterday, and he seems kind of quite positive about the game. I think it's going to be quite an interesting one because Albion Rovers, they were the better of the legacy clubs, should I say, in quotations, last season, finishing 7th, I think, in the Lowland League. But they've not started as well this season. They look like they're having a wee bit of a tougher time. Thorneywood have started off pretty well. They seem to be doing pretty well under Adam, and we'll hear from Adam later in the show. Now, with this, it could potentially go to penalties and stuff, but will we just play for the 90 minutes? Play for the 90. So I'm going to go for kind of torn between a draw and an Albion Rovers win. I think that I will go for Albion Rovers just to edge it, but I think that Thorneywood will push them very close. Johnny, how do you see this playing out?
Well, I was going to pass it over to Des, given the fact he watched Albion Rovers recently. And what did you see?
I actually thought they shaped up pretty well. They were a very young team, a really young team. They've got forgive me for forgetting the names, they're under a different pad. They had a really strong centre forward, big boy up front, number 9, holds the ball up extremely well. They had a young boy on the wing who was absolutely frightening, absolutely very direct. I thought he was excellent, and I thought the young right back was caught the eye as well. I was quite impressed by them. I thought they were good. They were stuffy out of possession. They knew how to get around it. What they do lack is they lack experience. They lack experience, but I would think that they should have too much for a West of Scotland team.
So, to continue my current form, because I've really taken the summer off, Albion Rovers are 7th in the league again this season. 4 games, 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Scored 7, conceded 9. So what I'm taking for that is that Thornleywood can potentially get goals.
Oh, they'll get goals because going by from what I've seen, the two centre halves were, if Adam's listening, the two centre halves were gettable. You
really talk deep. About something I meant to bring up, and me and Johnny, we were talking about it last week, we forgot to mention it on the show. You talk about, said you forgot somebody's name. Now, I think that Pollock's new striker has the best name in Scottish football.
I know he is.
Is it God's Power?
Yes.
What a name that is.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's sensational, isn't it?
Do you know what it is? It's one of those names that just makes you smile when you hear it. And that's, I mean, there can be no better compliment than the fact that you're just the sound of your name makes people smile.
I wouldn't insult him by trying to pronounce his second name, but what a name that is. But anyway, Johnny, back on it.
Right. Going off what you're saying, Des, I was leaning towards maybe a wee upset here, but do you think Albion Rovers will have too much for them?
I think Albion Rovers.
Right. I'll go with Des because he's seen Albion Rovers play. And then Adam will talk to me again.
Right, final game, Bellshill and Artherley. Bellshill, who have started the season very, very well. Artherley, not as well, but step up into the Premier League is always very, very difficult. Des, how do you think this one will go?
I think Artherley had a difficult start, but they've came back with a couple of decent results. When you look at them, they're playing against a completely different set of players this year. Although they ran away last year, I think they'll have too much of Bellshill. I know Bellshill will get the advantage of being at home on the carpet. But if Artherley want to get somewhere this year and build momentum, these are the games they need to win. These are the games that will give them confidence getting into the next game. Winning away from home, getting the team together. I know the manager, Willie Dyer, will be. They really try to force this through, saying, right, this is the season kicking starting. We've got to build. Yeah, I fancy Artherley for this one.
Johnny?
I thought I fancied a wee upset here.
You two need to say that.
I know. I just think Bellshill at home
scoring a lot of
goals.
19 goals in 5 games. Really impressive. Not put any pressure on you.
I think if we're going to stick our neck out, Des, I think this could be the one to stick our neck out with.
Right, okay, well, let's just put it in record. Johnny backed me up with Albion Rovers. Okay. I'll back Johnny up.
Okay.
Right, so let's go for Bellshill. Let's go for a wee upset. I just think scoring goals, I think a lower league team at home, they're obviously full of positivity, scoring goals, they'll come out, they'll start fast. Can they catch Artherley on the hop? Now, and in Artherley's, all Artherley's games has been goals. For and against. They had a good win against Rutherglen last week, where they scored late on. So let's go for a wee upset.
Good, I like that. I'm going to go for Artherley.
You would.
So well done, Bellshill. So what that is, PC versus the Pundits, opening day for us on the show.
This is why you won the first week, because I can't help myself. I just want to find
drama. You do like the drama. I know. I'm hearing people have been getting in touch with you. Largs for me, Pollock versus Largs. I've gone Largs. You guys have gone the draw. Irvine, Meda and Ardrossan. We're both going to Meda. Thorn versus Bonneton. We're both going Thorn. Perthshire versus Knightswood. We're both going for Knightswood. Irvine Bix versus Eglinton, both going for Irvine Bix. Albion Rovers and Thornleywood, both going for Albion Rovers. And Bellshill and Artherley, we've got a wee bit of a contentious one. Des did have Artherley, but was allowing to concede to Johnny and gone for Bellshill, and I've gone for Artherley. So there is every possibility that we will have somebody winning today.
Somebody finding winner.
So we could have a definitive winner today. But look, we're getting quite close to break time for us. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get us on WhatsApp at 07396717412. That's 07396717412. Or you can get us at Sat Football Live. Any questions, anything you want to talk about? Are you happy with how your team started the season? Are you unhappy with how the team started the season? Do you feel that any players that you brought in have been particularly good, or it's just no work for any players yet? Then get in touch with us, and myself and Johnny and Des are more than happy to honestly answer all questions and give our honest opinions. Right, so we're going to have a wee quick look. We've got a few minutes left before the break. We'll have a quick look at the Premier League. We've obviously touched on Pollock and Largs. The other 2 games in the Premier League today are Beath and Auchinleck Talbot and Glencairn and Shotspon Accord. 2 interesting games. We'll start with the team who are looking very, very good at the moment. Sitting in second place, 4 wins out of 4. The Talbot away to Beath. Beath, their start's been a wee bit up and down. 3 games played, 1 win, 2 defeats. Only conceded 2 goals, scored 1. How do we think that'll go? Because for me, I think it's a Talbot win.
I think Beath's season has started the way that I pretty much expected, with a new manager coming in and new players coming in, etc. It was always going to be a bit of a transitional time for them, I feel, so I'm not really surprised how they've started the season. Auchinleck, I'm not surprised how they've started the season. I'm surprised at how well, like upper level they've been, how dominant they've been. Yeah, thanks for that. They've started the season, and I suppose for me, it's just a question is how long can that continue? You know, we spoke last year ad nauseum about Clyde Banking. Could they keep it going? Could they keep it going? And I think we're almost reaching the same kind of level we all can let. Can they keep it going? Can they keep it going? And I think they will.
We've got a very interesting one, unless I'm mistaken. Next week, is it Drun and the Talbot?
I think it's the week after.
Is it? Because I know it was supposed to be this week, but obviously we're now South of Scotland Cup. It's kind of South Challenge Cup has moved things a bit. So next week it is it's Drun and the Talbot next week. So needless to say, that'll be our feature fixture for the game. But it's going to be quite interesting, Des. I mean, the Talbot, the last 2 years have started very slowly, and then they've really kicked on as the season's progressed, but left it too late. This year, they've got to fancy their chances this year.
Yeah, I think this is a massive difference. This is almost like the Talbot of old. This year they've got their business done in the summer. They seem to have got their squad in. They've been, from the results that I've been seeing and the highlights I've been seeing in the comments and that I've been watching, they just seem as if they're a different beast this year. They seem as if they're just a different animal. As we've said there, the last couple of years they've had to play catch up, and usually because Auchinleck are successful in cups, they've usually got hundreds of games to catch up on. This year it just seems as if Tucker's managed to get the rebuild right. It's maybe been a couple of seasons in the making.
Something that we've all spoken about privately as well is see signings like they're starting to, for me, Luke Gillis, right, has started to come into his own. He's now getting a bit older. He's kind of in his early 20s now, and he's been there a couple of years. He's starting to show a bit of quality. You've got Connor Boyd, Kyle McAvoy scoring goals up front, but we've spoken privately about Luke Main. For me, that looks like a Talbot signing. He's very physical and he's very powerful type player, and I think that's starting to piece together for Tucker, and that's how I feel there's been an improvement.
I think as well, a massive signing for them was Willie Muir in nets. Bringing Willie in from Lanark. Willie's a vastly experienced goalkeeper, obviously with United in Queen's Park. I think that was a master stroke from Tommy getting that done early doors, because I think he was announced just after the season ended, and I think that experience will make such a difference to them. Now, what I would say is, I felt that I know the weakest part, but I felt Scott Ferguson causing the ball down the left-hand side, down Auchinleck right-hand side, and I think if Beath were going to target any area, that's where I would be going, down that right back, in that right back position. I think they're probably, again, I'm not saying weak, do you know what I mean? It's like the least worst, the least best, sorry, do you know what I mean? Kind of area of the part that they could get exposed.
Well, look, we're just about to take our first break of the day, so we will be back after these. and Des Roach. So we've already had a wee look at Pollock and Largs, we've looked at the Talbot, we've looked at how impressive they've been, to be fair, but we're actually going to have a wee cycle back to Pollock and Largs. I spoke to Largs manager Stuart Davidson the other day, just to see how he's feeling about the start of the season. So obviously we're used to Largs being mid-table, challenging, causing issues for teams about them and above them, but it's not quite been the case as of yet. They are sitting, as it stands, in 12th place with their first win of the season, only coming a couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, sorry. 2 weeks ago against Shortsburn Gold, which wasn't the most impressive result because the Shots had a bit of a tough start to the season it is. But I'd asked Arnie how he felt that the season had been going, so here's what Arnie had to say about it.
Obviously, 1 win out of 4 games, 3 defeats isn't great, but I wouldn't say we've been outplayed in the games. Just going to be at the moments that we've got to take care of defensively and going forward, but that's something we can work on, something I've been working on and we will improve. So let's know it's the best of starts, but there has been positives.
I think that knowing Arnie like I do, I think you can tell he sounded a bit disappointed with it. But they're a team, like we touched on, they're a team that can go and get results, and I still think that there's a lot of football to be played for them, and I still think that they will pick up. And it's the added pressure this year for me that Largs were never going to win the league. I think Arnie would even admit that himself, and their committee and players would probably admit that. Top 5 would be a really good season for them, but this season, the top 8 getting promoted, it just makes everything so much more interesting, and everybody's really going to be fighting it for those, maybe that kind of spot for 5th to 10th. It'll be a real battle, maybe.
I think that obviously we know Arnie well. They're a team in his own mould, wasn't it? Team in his own style of play. They were dogged. They would get at you. They would never make life comfortable for you. They would get results. They would grind things out. I still think they've got quality team. I think Stuart Fauld's missing. Leighton. That's a massive gap to fill. I know that they were sort of looking for goalkeepers, and I know they're looking for a couple of bits and pieces. But with the quality they've got up front, they're going to score goals, and I do think that it will click for them. I do think, and I don't expect to see them scrambling anywhere near the middle to bottom. I would think that they would be within the top 8 realm that they're expecting and that they're capable of. But you can hear in his voice, he is disappointed with the way the season's went, but we're only a handful of games in, so there's a long time to go, and I fully expect them to kick on.
The thing is, a win today is really important. It takes them away from, it takes them 3 points away from Pollock. It puts more pressure on Max than Pollock. If result, for talking sake, Shots get a win today, Pollock drop into that kind of bottom 3. You know that it means anything in terms of relegation, but you don't want to be, if for talking sake, your Pollock or your Renfrew or Glencairn, you don't want to be 5 games in and 6 points away for 8th place and trying to claw back when you've had a difficult start to the season.
And one of the great things for us this year is that every game is going to be so important because there's that battle for that top 8 spot. So it's going to be really, really tight going into the latter part of the season, and the longer you leave it to get detached, then the harder it's going to be, obviously, to get up there. And I know they're putting things in place to get their license and stuff like that, so they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't think they were capable of achieving that top 8 finish. And I'm sure Arnie will get them right. But when he's saying there, it's just moments. As a coach and a manager, that is sometimes the most frustrating thing, because you feel like you're doing okay, but you're getting beat, and it's the hardest things to fix. If you're playing poorly, if shape's not working, if boys aren't doing what you're asking them to do, you can change it relatively easily. But if boys are playing okay, yet they're making basic errors or bad decisions or things like that, they're really hard to fix, unless you just bin them and get new players in, which for a club like Largs is difficult, especially with the money at the top end of the Premier League. Yeah. So it's just going to be how long that continues, and we'll see if they can get a result today against this new Pollock side.
What do we think with Pollock? It's been we've made it very clear of the situation. Like, we know reasonably well that the budget cuts and the restraints on Maxi, and it's been very, very difficult. Last season, it was what it was. It was very much, your budget's been cut. You weren't in contention for anything, but you were pretty safe you weren't going to get relegated. Where does he go, Des, with this? Because I actually said at the end of last season, if I'd been Maxi, I probably would have walked away, because his budget's been cut again. It's almost two hands tied behind your back.
No, Maxis would do. He'd probably say it's having two hands behind your back and one leg behind your back as well. He's been very honest and open about it. This is a complete structural rebuild. It's went back to even beyond his Rob Roy days, what he's having to do. So he's went down the complete youth route. We also see the boy that he's brought in, God's power up front, come in and he's scored a couple of goals, and the team, he's also got Bob McHugh in as well. This team's going to take time. This team will take time. I don't think Maxi would chuck it. I don't think it's in his nature to chuck it. He's not done that anywhere he's been. I think the Pollock fans, as much as they've got massive expectations, they've got to temper those expectations and realise they need to get behind the team. They need to get behind these young guys. These guys, I know a couple of them that I've been involved previously, very good players, never played at this level, never played with this expectation behind them. But if Pollock are going to go anywhere this year, they need the full backing of the support.
That's the thing as well with you're saying young players. They brought in like the likes of Declan Black last year, who was an excellent season at Greenock, stepped up. You know, he's gone to the Bens, dropped in a league, and it's like, it's hard for these boys, particularly when you're bringing a group. Now, that's something to talk about the Talbot again. Tucker was good at bring one or two of these boys in and allow them time to gel and get into it. But when you're having to bring 5 and 6 of them in, it's such a big ask.
It's just going to take time, you know, and they need to stick with it, and I'm sure they will. Like you're saying that, I can't see any reasons that Stuart would think about chucking it, because you don't, from my point of view, you don't embark on such a rebuild and then decide you're going to leave. Do you know what I mean? 3 months, 4 months down the line, or whatever it is. So I think you need to.
Is it a rebuild? Like, it's not a rebuild. Like, to me, you've had a successful team and it's come to the end of its cycle, and you're saying we need to go again here. This is a rebuild because the club is financially struggling, and you don't have the resources that you had. So for me, this is not a new cycle in the club. This is a trying to maintain,
it's trying to change the model.
Trying to maintain to be a Premier League club, and they're fortunate this year, because I think, based on what we've seen so far,
how many
they'd be in danger of getting relegated.
I think though that they've been in every game. You know, the games have been tight, apart from the Auchinleck game, the midweek game where they get beat 4-0. They've 1-0 off Beith, 2-1 off Glenafton, and then they won last week against Rutherglen, which was really, really important for them, because that shows signs of positivity.
Right, playing devil's advocate here, right? They've only played one of the top teams and got battered. The Beith, we know they're in a bit of transition. Glenafton are a mid-table team, probably. I think that's fair to say. And then they get the late one against Glencairn, which to me was actually a really good win, and it was a really important one, considering they showed a lot of character to win it when they did. But if you're playing devil's advocate, they've not played Troon. They've not played Johnson Borough. You know, even Drumchapel. I know Drumchapel had a really bad night during the week there, but in general, they're one of the teams that are right up there. That's probably been some of the easier games, and you've only got 3 points.
But see, by the time they come round to play these teams, these guys are then getting another half dozen games under their belt. So a lot of them are playing proper men's championship, premiership football for the first time. And I know you said it's not a complete rebuild. I disagree. How many players are in that squad that were there last year? No,
I don't mean it's not a rebuild in terms of. It's a rebuild in terms of they have to bring in new players. I'm talking about a rebuild's normally when a team has come at the end of its cycle. This isn't a team at the end of its cycle. It's just a team who have no money.
So this is I'll carry that and say this is a club rebuild, because they've got a whole new committee as well. The guys that were there before are no longer involved. Maxi's brought in all these new players for a team rebuild. He's brought in Josh and the other guy and the coaching staff as well. So this is a completely new club almost. And what they need to do is they need to use this year. And I don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with the fact that yes, there's no relegation. That will help them this year. It takes a bit of pressure off them, but it gives the players that amount of time to learn the league, learn the level, learn the expectations, to re-go again next year. And by the time we get to May next year, the nucleus of the squad is already there, and you can hopefully maybe add more in.
That's what I was going to say, Des. I think the proof in the pudding for Pollock would probably be this time next year, which is a daft thing to say when we're 5 games into this season. But you're looking at the Premier League next year, you're going to have 8 teams, whatever it is, going away. So the quality is going to be a slightly less.
Because you look at, I'm looking at the first division. So based on the top 8 just now, just for talk's sake, that's what went up. You get Meda, Gartcairn, The Rock, Thornywood, Cumbernauld, Ardrossan, Nielsen, and Petershill. Now, I'm looking at the Premier League now and saying Pollock might be lucky to stay up this season. But to touch on what Des is saying, you're a year down the road, you've got your ideas put across to them, the squad are a year older, played together, that kind of stuff. But you put those 8 teams in and you take your Talbots, your Trins, your Johnson Burrows away, then Pollock, they're not going to be getting relegated for that league. And they're a much more competitive side. The point I was making is just this year is, I think it's going to be really difficult. And even though I tipped them to potentially into that top 8, I'm possibly reconsidering that. But look,
they just need to stick with it though.
No, definitely.
They need to stay positive. It can be the most difficult thing to do sometimes. I'm going through it myself with George at Maybole. You just need to stay positive. You need to stay together. You need to recognise the challenge. One thing I said to our boys Thursday night at training, you need to recognise the challenge. A lot of these boys, especially when you're coming up the level, you need to remember that, and no overreact. It's not like you're coming down and you're expected to be challenged. You need to recognise that challenge and not overreact.
We're going to move on to our first division feature fixture, Meda and Ardrossan. I spoke to Jamie McKim and I've asked him how he feels the start of the season's gone, because it's night and day for where the club were a year ago before Jamie came in. They were in real trouble in the relegation zone for most of the season. Jamie improved it. So I've asked Jamie how he feels the season has started for them.
PJ, I've been delighted with the start of the season so far. Obviously, when you set out in day one, you want to win as many games as you can, and every opportunity that comes, you want to take as many points as possible. So I'm delighted. Obviously, I couldn't ask for any more in terms of the results. What I would say is the performance levels are getting better each week. So I know that the Ardrossan game is going to be a big one, and we'll be missing a few for it as well. It's going to be a bit tougher. I expect they're a good opponent, so hopefully we can go into the day and take maximum points, and that would make the start even better. But as I said previously, it's just a start. We need to build on it.
That's quite a key thing he's saying there, is the performances are improving. Now, last season, actually, I remember speaking to Jamie a couple of times last season, and they were getting the results, but he still wasn't completely convinced with the performances, which I think is a bit of a mark on how good a manager he is, where he's able to get improvements. But now he's getting his own team in there. He's starting to get the team playing the way he wants, and they're improving, Des. So things look better for Meadow at the moment.
Yeah, this is the best it's looked for a number of years. They seem to be at the backing of the club. They seem to be at the backing of the fans as well. Jamie's went in. He done magnificent to keep them up last year, which was obviously quite a tough gig to take on. But the way that he's went about, and we made the comment earlier when he mentioned, said, well, he's in it to win the championship. That's his stated intentions, and if you're not in it to win it, then why be there? Completely agree with that. To win last year was the main aim, and the performance was secondary. This year is what he's saying is for him, it's the performance. The win will always be, but he's wanting a better standard of performance. And Meadow Park's a great facility, a great surface to play on. So if he can get that across, and he can get the guy, I mean, he's got Jojo Gillespie down there. He's got guys that VU and Baird up front. He's got guys that know how to play good football. So if he can get a winning team playing good football, then he's doing hell of a well.
Do you not notice there? I just had a wee look at the screen. I thought I mentioned how good we're looking at our new Pyramid Promotions club. The threes are kitted out this week and it looks great. It looks great. Sorry, Johnny, on you.
No, I was just going to say that I think it's really impressive what Jamie's done since he's went into Meadow. They've obviously signed really well in the summer. They've got Kyle Craig up front who's scoring goals for fun as well, which makes a big difference. Bringing Craig Pettigrew in it well at centre half again, experience makes a big difference to the side. So I don't see any signs of that slacking down. And I know, listening to Jamie, he's got expectations and what he expects in terms of performance levels. There's no danger of him letting that drop off either or getting complacent at the top of the league. So I think he'll keep driving them forward, and I think they'll keep continuing to get victories.
I think so. On Ardrossan, I touched on it. I felt they were a bit disappointing last season after how impressive they were when they won the second division. They've won 2, drawn 1, lost 1. Actually, quite a similar run of games to the Meda. So both teams have played Benburb, both teams have played Muirkirk, and they lost to Coburn in the opening day of the season, but they both played Vale of Clyde as well. So they've had 3 of the 4 games have been the same, and it's not too dissimilar. Ardrossan have won 2 and drawn 1 of those 3 against the same. Meda have won the 3 of them, so I think it could be quite a tight game. And you've also got a bit of the local derby stuff in there as well, so it should make it a bit more interesting.
That's always going to add a wee bit of spice to it. I'm not sure how full a squad Ardrossan have got today. I know they're missing one striker. Excuse me. I know they're potentially missing one striker. I just think Meda are going to be on a run, and they've won the games that are ahead of them. Ardrossan would be one of my teams for the top 8. Absolutely, think that. But I think Meda have got too much quality this season. I can only see Gart Cairn being the team that's going to challenge them for any honours. I think it's between the two of them. So Meda will just want to keep on that juncture of win, and as Jamie said, if he can get the performances in at the right time at the same time, then what do we say? Confidence builds more confidence. So I can only see a Meda win.
I had a really good chat with Gavin Friels at one of our games, because his boy plays with us down at Maybole, and he was really positive about the season. He was really looking forward to it. They've made some good signings. They've signed Big Ali Semple in goals. They've signed Martin Finlay as well, centre half. They obviously brought in Ewan McIver from Lugar, who got his first goals a couple of weeks ago and stuff.
It's not a surprise, is it?
You love him, don't you?
I've never seen him play, but I just think for a young guy, and for what I've heard, he scores a lot of goals, and you can see that. I know Lugar had a good result in the last match, but you can see that they're missing him. He's a good player, and he will score his goals. And they've got quality up top. I mean, they've still got Curran and stuff up top, and there's good.
What Curran's at Meadow now?
As he went, well, that's nonsense for me.
They've still got Aidan
Ferris.
Ferris.
Is still there.
He's always scores goals. You know what I mean? There is quality in that team.
I think the really good sign in it. I think it's a player who's been vastly underrated. With Martin Finlay, we had him at Meda. I thought he was excellent. We had him. He's just a guy who gives you no frills, does what it says in the tin. He went to Bees, never really worked out. Didn't get as much game time as probably he was hoping for. But going to Ardrossan, he can be a standout for them. And going back to Meda today, he'll have a point to
I don't think Martin is quite Premier League. But first division, definitely. You know what I mean? Definitely.
There'll be a lot in that mould. We're going to move on to our third division featured fixture. I spoke to Michael Pender. It's a short trip down to Postle for them against Persia. Persia are a difficult team to play, particularly. I know they've had a poor start, but particularly at home, it's not the prettiest of places to go. I say Michael's obviously really had a great season last year. They've had a really good start to the season. I've asked him how he's found the step up to the third division, because it's only his second year in charge at the club. And I do think there is, despite touching on the fact that the fourth division teams are all doing pretty well in the third division, I think there's a marked improvement in the third division as a whole. The fourth division's kind of split into 2, 3 maybe sections. The third division I don't really feel is particularly like that. There's maybe 2 or 3 that are a bit adrift at the bottom. There's a lot of quality in that league. So here's what Michael had to say on that.
We've enjoyed the step up, Paul. You can see straight away we've faced a lot of the Ayrshire teams, and it's
there is a marked step for all the fourth. Teams are a bit faster, more physical, better players know about you, having to make your decisions quicker. But we've enjoyed it. It's been a good learning curve for us, and we're all enjoying it so far.
He's always quite measured when he talks, and quite a relaxed guy. I think he'll be really pleased with how they've won. They conceded 3 goals in the first 4 games, defensively sound, continuing last season while they're scoring as well. Because you look at, for me, the Port are a different way. They scored a ridiculous amount of goals last season. They're carrying on this season like that, but they concede a lot of goals, whereas Nitro don't necessarily do that. They had a wee blip at the end of last season, but for me, they're an absolute stick-off to get promoted.
I think so. I think it was interesting that they obviously lost their first game of the season, and I think that was a real kind of, I wonder how this is going to go. And then they've bounced back with win after win after win, basically going and beating Ardea comprehensively during the week, and then taking 7 off Lugar, etc. and stuff like that. So I don't have any concerns about them being top 8 towards the end of the season. Definitely not.
No, I agree. They've just continued to build momentum. I know Liam Coogan's left briefly. He's now come back, got himself back up to
Some boy.
Yes, he has got himself back. They've got quality. Darren Miller still to come back into the team. By all accounts, their young goalkeeper's tremendous. As opposed to Port, we know that they can go and score goals for fun. So if they're scoring goals, they're going to win games. They really need to shore up at the back. And I know that's an area I've spoken to Tam Matex a couple of times. That's an area that he's looking to grow. I think that these two can genuinely be vying to win the league. And if any of them win the league, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. So I can't see anything other than a Knightswood Wednesday Perthshire where they're sitting in the league. I think Perthshire they'll stay in the league, but I don't think they'll touch a glove on Knightswood today.
And they don't. I remember near the end of my playing time, Perthshire got a wee bit of money, and they really improved, and they had like a lot of quality in their team, and they were just such a difficult team to go. They kind of reminded me a bit of the ilk of Davy Gregg's Blantyre team. Was a really physical, tough team who could play, who could mix it up. They were always quite an intimidating side to play against. Those days are gone for them by the looks of it, unless something big happens. They're just in a really tough position.
It's a young team they've got, and they've just brought in Gary Fraser as a coach as well.
I've seen that. Hopefully that's something else. I'd imagine within a few weeks, Gary will start putting the boots on and playing, because
he's still playing for Ashfield.
Gary? He's in the Ashfield coaching.
Perthshire,
because just they're next to each other. Sorry.
But we're talking about like coaches. Big Kirky's still playing. I mean, he still puts the strip on, and
age.
He's 73, 74. He's been about forever, and he's such a handful, you know what I mean? And he can, when you guys he can cause issues. But he's also got a temperamental side, as we've seen last season as well. I just feel that it's going to be a long, hard season. You look at Perthshire, you look at Glasgow United, teams who really should be doing better, I think, than they are, but they seem to just struggle, and they're not really progressing at all.
Glasgow United is the one that I've been really, really shocked and disappointed for the past while with the quality they've got there and the history that they have.
But it's just not working out for them. We're going to move on to the 4th division. A big game down there we've already touched on. Irvine, Vix and Eglinton. Spoke to asked them, because last season was really difficult for them as a whole. The Meda job didn't work for them. Then obviously Irvine Vix getting relegated, really tough. But we predicted that they were going to have a good season. I had tipped them to win the league. He's looking like he's starting to get his stamp on the team. And I did ask him how he feels this season after a good start, and is the team becoming more his? So here's what Ben had to say.
Hi Paul, it's been a decent start. First 5 games you'll get 4 wins is always good, but also we'd love to be sitting here with 5 out of 5. But just a disappointing one last week at home to West Park. Probably looking back at the highlights, we lost too many cheap goals, to be honest, so we probably didn't deserve to get out that game. So that was a disappointment, but it was good that we bounced back during the week there at St Peter's, and got a decent result and a really good performance. Actually, I thought we were really controlled. It's probably something we've not really had during the first 4 games of that, is real control a long period of time in a game, and I thought we were that on Wednesday night. So that gives us a bit of confidence that this Saturday we're in a good place. Just got to make sure we're keeping the wins going and keep the performance level.
That is important, to keep the performance levels up. Now, again, I think the 4th division is. I touched on literally 5 minutes ago about how there was a bit of divide. I feel like it's probably more level this season than it was last season, because Knightswood and the Port were by far and away the best 2 teams in the league. You look at Pollock, tremendous start this season, 5 out of 5. Other Vic's 4 out of 5. Eglinton undefeated in 4. Then you get East Kilbride, the new look East Kilbride Thistle, and then even, I know they've not had a great start to the season. East Kilbride YM, I think, will start to pick up, and they'll be in and about it. West Park showing a good kind of start to the season. I think it's going to be a really interesting 4th division this season.
No, well, and touching on Other Vics, we played them in pre-season, and I was impressed with them. I would say one thing about them is, I think they've scored 18 goals in 5 games, but they've also conceded 12. You know, so I think that'll be something for Ben to work on, just tightening up at the back, because those crazy games, I know they had a 6-3 against West Park and things like that, but that can come back and bite you down the line. But I'm sure, knowing that they'll score goals at the top end, but they
The
just
6-3 was Gifford. The West Park was a 4-2 with the Gifford one for me, but the West Park one for me would been bitterly disappointing if I was Ben, when you're 2-0 up and you go through a game away like that.
But see, if you look at Eglinton have only conceded 1 goal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't score a lot. They've only scored 8 goals. So their defence is obviously very, very tight. I do think the Vic should win it. Ben getting a proper run at it, having a settled team, a settled environment. Obviously, Johnny, you said you played against at the start of the year, and you were quite impressed. I think Vics will win it, but Eglinton are probably out punching their weight at the moment. But as we say, the team that I've been really surprised at is Saltcoats this year. Saltcoats have been a good start.
Do you know, I'm not surprised. I think that
Stevie's done well.
He was really starting to pick it up at the end of last season. Even when they were losing games, it was tight games they were losing. Pushed Knightswood close twice. A goal in it twice. They really pushed them. And I think that
it's good to see them.
Definitely.
Really delighted to see where they are at this moment in time.
And it's taking time.
Yes.
It's taking time for them to get there. But I know, I completely agree with you. And they're a team who, could you imagine Saltcoats getting themselves, I know it's different circumstances this year with the top 8 getting up, but getting themselves back into that 3rd division and being a competitive side again, it's really good to see. But look, we're going to go for a quick break. So just before the games start, 2 o'clock games, and it's going to get quite interesting coming up soon. So we'll be right back after these. With myself, Paul Gordon, and my great co-hosts Johnny Bailey and Des Roach. So we've looked through all 5 divisions in the west of Scotland, interesting games in those. We're going to have a quick look at the two cup games that we've got featured today, Albion Rovers and Thornleywood, and then Belshire and Atherley. Before we move on to my favourite part of the show, Des's quiz. Des, do we have any lateral thinking today?
You've got a couple.
A couple, right. So I'll get Johnny. Fortunately, Johnny's quite a switched on guy. So, I mean, he did say at the break there that he was supposed to submit the team for Mabel at 1:05 a day and didn't do it. So he's just done it there.
No, I've done it before. I've done it when the show started.
Oh, well, that's all
Did
right.
it at 5:00.
At 5:00. It's supposed to be in before one. But Callum Haswell's the referee. Callum's all right.
What are they going to do? Yeah.
Sorry, I'll text them.
So we're now at the stage
15 points deducted like that, Callum.
games are all just kicking. Imagine that because you were on here. Games are just kicking off just now. But moving on to our game, Albion Rovers and Thornleywood. I spoke to Adam Coakley, the manager of Thornleywood, who, for me, as we touched on earlier in the show, he's had a very impressive start to his managerial career at this level. Managed at amateur and obviously played senior, had a good career there. But now stepping up to this level after Groms left Thornleywood. And I asked Adam how he's found his time at Thornleywood and how the start of the season has been for him. So here's what he had to say on it.
When I started it with the Goms at the start as an assistant, and kind of learnt my way through being an assistant manager, was great for me really to get my experience and kind of bed myself into it. And then obviously things changed and I ended up kind of in charge. So this season's been a different for me in terms of the pre-season stuff and all that. I've not really done that, signing players and all that carry on. So it was quite exciting. I quite enjoyed it, and we started off quite well. We've started off not bad, but the league's tough, so every game's different and every week's different. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season as such.
I think he could be really happy with how he's gone. But we've just had a goal come in there. Ashfield goes side. Ashfield 1 down.
Ashfield 1 up.
1 up. Oh, I'm surprised. That's why I went for goal side there, because Ashfield don't normally score very many goals. They've had a really tough start to the season.
I know. Threave have scored against Easterhouse.
Yeah. 1-0 for Threave. It's a good side, Threave this season.
We played them midweek. Very good.
I was gonna say,
They're a good side.
It's a team I've not actually
Do you know what George said? I wasn't actually there, so I can't really speak on it. But George said they were very powerful. You know what I mean? Like big, strong, athletic players. Good football inside as well. No taking it away, but he's just saying they were big, strong.
Des, I know you're no tech savvy man, right? But Ashfield's Twitter says 1-0 cool side, 1 minute gone. That's what it says. You've read that as Ashfield being the home team, so it's 1-0 to Ashfield, didn't you? 0 to cool side.
1-0.
Cool side.
Sorry, Des, when PG goes away, I'll just do the
but on the Thornleywood game, I think it's a really good test.
Pershore 0, Nextwood 1.
Oh, it didn't take long. On the Thornleywood game, how important do you think this is for Thornleywood as a club who they've had some issues over the last few years, but they're really turning things around and they're looking like, to me, I think they're a stick on to get promoted this season unless they fall apart. But how important do you think this is, Johnny, for a club like Thornleywood to go and potentially beat somebody like Albion Rovers?
Not at all, personally.
Okay.
Personally, I just think that this season is about getting to the Premier League, which I think will be the number one aim, and I think this is just a bonus to challenge yourself